Welcome back to Tech Garage, brought to you by RockAuto.com. Folks, it's time for one of our favorite segments of the show, the video question of the week.
Now, sometimes your air blows cold, but it's not blowing in the right direction. This video question is going to answer that. Check it out.
Hey guys, my AC only blowing on defrost. I mean, it's changing from hot to cold, but it's only blowing from up here. What's going on?
Josh, great question. Happens to a lot of people. Now, when it goes to defrost, that's the default mode. Now, whether it's electronic doors or vacuum doors, it's going to blow up there. So our Firebird here is actually vacuum actuated. So the first thing you'd want to check would be source vacuum. And Brian's going to crank up the car in here in a minute. I'm going to go right to it. And if I hold up the gauge, you can actually see we're pushing about 20 inches of mercury. So we have source vacuum going into the system. That's the first thing to check. That's important. Brian, that's good. Now, if you didn't have source vacuum, hey, you want to start checking it for some vacuum leaks here, and then we'll look at the temperature door.
Yeah, and the best way to do that, of course, is a smoke machine. And if you don't have one, they're not too expensive. You can even rent these in some cases. But essentially, you're going to push smoke through that entire vacuum system. Be sure you get a good viable source like this one. I saw a guy once push it up through the windshield washer nozzles. You don't want that. All right, we'll push it.
Yep.
Seen anything?
No. Eventually, if you had a leak, it would pour out, take a flashlight, starts watching it, and watch it start pouring out one of the vacuum hoses.
Give it 20, 30 seconds. I think we're good there.
Yep. You got a couple old school tricks. I mean, carburetor cleaner, watch the injection, I mean, as well.
All kinds of ways to do it. And if you got an old school pump like this, you can also do the same thing.
Yeah, and check this out. I actually have a whole control unit that's under the car. This is the gauges right here. And then on the back side, if it's old school like our Firebird, you actually have these vacuum lines right here. And the vacuum lines take the source voltage in, and when you switch your switch, it directs it to different doors. And different doors, Brian, do different things.
It's just a massive router is all it is.
That's exactly what it is. Now, watch our door here. As Brian pumps this up, our vacuum pump, it's going up.
There you go.
So bam. So when I switch to something else and I release the vacuum, boom, that's it. It's going to drop that door just that quick. Now, there's different temperature doors. Now, how do we find the problem? Well, get you a little pair of needle nose pliers. You got a broken line like that. Go around and pinch each one of them. I pinch it, nothing changed. That wasn't the leak. I pinch it, nothing changed. That wasn't the leak. I pinch it, bam, switches from defrost to another door. You found which line's leaking. Now, that's a vacuum actuated system. Brian, electronics a lot different. We have all kinds of electronics and temperature doors.
Yeah, all kinds of ways. And all of them, many of them have a storage container like this. It's not a mailbox for squirrels. It's actually a vacuum tank where it holds a vacuum there. Everything can release, actuate as it needs to. You also want to check those for leaks. Sometimes heat can crack those.
Heat, and they're usually located somewhere tucked in the fender well. I mean, a little ding or here or there. They crack very easily. So with that, hey, the vacuum actuated doors, electronically, you can plug it in, scan for codes, Josh. Once you get a code in there, it'll give you a direction on what door to go to.
Speaking of codes, it's cleared on the Camaro. I hope that thing's running well. I'll tell you, it was a fun project. I think we might have solved the problem.
Well, I'll tell you two things. I took it on a test drive, and when I took it on a test drive, I took it on a long test drive because I wanted to do that warm-up cycle. Great, no check engine light, but I didn't feel confident. So what I did is I actually put that scan tool in there, that big one. I crunk it up when it was cold, let it run. When it ran, bam, I watched that temperature climb quickly. So we got no problems. That thing's fixed and it's well.
Perfect, all good. Hey, tell you what, keep the feedback coming, keep the questions coming. We love hearing from you guys. We'll see you next week on Tech Garage, brought to you by RockAuto.com.